Hyper Chef with you here. We're going to make one of my favorite dishes, which I made this up all myself. This is turkey saltimbocca. Why do I do this with turkey cutlets as opposed to chicken? I find that when you do this with chicken, it's a little, the texture, I have a texture issue with it. However, if you can't find turkey cutlets and you're in a pinch, try with chicken, it's very delicious. I've already started doing this. I'm gonna prep the last couple with you. Here are your turkey cutlets. And what I'm gonna do is with the knobby side of the hammer, I'm gonna flatten it out. Makes them a little bigger. Now we're gonna season them. I pre-ground up some black pepper. This is one of those dishes my father loved because he loved a lot of black pepper on things. He loved the spice. I always picture him with the little McCormick's tin, tapping it with his finger as he put it on all his dishes. Okay, so just like when you do with brajol, you're gonna heavily spice this. So salt, kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper, grated cheese. The secret to this dish is all the spices and everything's on the inside as opposed to sitting on top. It just makes for a really nice dish. I only got this little bit of grated cheese left, so we're just gonna use it. Okay, now what do we put next? Deli Provolone, or as we call in our house, provoletta, which means little provolone, because obviously it's not as sharp as true provolone. You're just gonna cover the pieces like that. And take a little bit more. My dog is waiting here for her treats afterwards. She smells the cheese and the prosciutto. Now we're gonna put next is prosciutto. When I cook, I use prosciutto di Parma, which is the important one. You can use prosciuttini, which is more of a ham, whatever you like to use. I prefer prosciutto di Parma. My rule with dishes is I always try to follow the recipe the first time and then I modify. Now the last step. This is the rest of the sauteed spinach. I took fresh spinach leaves and I just threw them in a frying pan that I had just a little bit of olive oil, and all I did was put a little salt and pepper on top. This is just a little accent for the middle. I actually didn't do enough, so these are a little, you could put a little bit more if you wanted to. Now watch how simple this is. You take it and you roll it. Okay? You dredge it in flour to seal them because we're going to sear them now. Before I do the last one, I'll turn this on. Get that heated up so we're all ready to go. We're going to take this one here and we're going to roll it. Same way. And now we're going to dredge this in flour. Now while my pan is heating up, and what's in the pan? In the pan is oil and butter. So what we're going to do is we are going to braise these. Now we're going to take them out, cover them. We're going to throw a little bit more butter in. We're going to saute down baby portobello mushrooms, which have that stinky like flavor to them, with a little salt and pepper. And then we're going to make a stock sauce out of it with red wine and beef stock. And then we're going to add some spices to it, and we're going to finish it in the oven. Now normally when I'm doing this for a big crowd, I do triple this amount and I use a giant pan, oven-proof pan. I start the pan on the stove and put it in the oven. Because I'm not doing that many pieces today, I'm using a cast iron fry pan. This one happens to be a fancy one, but your simple basic Lodge cast iron fry pan is perfectly fine. All right, let's go over to the stove now. I'll show you how this works. Okay, as you can see, I have my pan, and in this pan is butter and olive oil. Why do I do both? The butter adds some flavor to it, and it also changes the fry point. So it just gives a little bit of a change. I'm a big fan of combining a little bit of each together. And we're just gonna stick these in here, and you can hear they're already starting to sizzle. Now you have to move them around a little bit when you put them in. This pan's gonna be just big enough for how many I made. And what did I make here? Not even a dozen. So we're gonna put them in like that. And now what am I going to do? I'm going to take my tongs. As always, I knock something on the floor. I'm going to take my tongs, and I am going to just move them around. And all we're doing with this is we're browning them. And we're going to brown them on all sides. And then we're going to put them in this bowl covered with foil as we go on to our next step. So we can turn this up a little bit. They're already starting to get, you can see the cheese is starting to melt. This dish is so delicious. And this dish, when you make this, you can put this into half disposable tins, and you can freeze it, or you can put it in little containers. I've taken this dish when we got on vacation in the Outer Banks, pre-cooked, and taken it out in the morning, and I had a fancy dinner on the table for my turn to cook dinner. See, they're already starting to get some color to them. And that's all you want to do, is you're going to give them some color. Wow, this is hot. Okay. Feel the heat on my hands. You don't have to worry about this not being cooked through, because this is going to finish in the oven. All right, so I'm going to do like so. You see how quick this is. I know this looks complicated, and this is probably one of the more complicated dishes I've shown you to date, but I can assure you, when your guest cuts into it and all that cheese and spinach comes oozing out, it is well worth it. All right, so we're gonna give those a minute now just to brown on another side, and we're gonna turn them again. And when we come back, we'll go on to the next step. All right, now we're back. All the turkey has been braised, and I have it sitting here. It's not cooked through by any means. I have it sitting here to boil a piece of foil to keep it warm. I threw a little more butter in here, and I threw in baby portobellos. And as you can see, there's all the bits of turkey are all on the bottom here. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna kick those up like that, and then we're gonna throw a nice big splash of red wine. You hear that? And we're gonna shake it, get some of those bits up. We'll turn the heat up, and we're gonna cook off that red wine. You'll know the red wine is cooked off because the bitter smell. You don't want to stir it. When the bitter smell goes away, the red wine is cooked off. And then what we're gonna do next, as soon as that's cooked off, is we're gonna add beef stock. And it makes it a very succulent dish. It helps to keep the turkey moist, because turkey can tend to get dry. There you go. There you go. That's already coming off there. I can smell it. Now we're going to add beef stock. So this is a full container of beef stock. We're going to throw it in like that. We're really drowning the turkey. All right. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to season it. I saved my salt and pepper from before, so I didn't waste it. Put a little sprinkle of salt. I won't be able to use the rest of this because I had turkey on my fingers. We're going to put a little grated cheese, a little black pepper in. This dish takes a lot of black pepper. It's a very spicy dish. And then we're going to throw a little grated cheese in. I don't want to throw it all in. Don't want to waste that. That's definitely gold. And we're going to put some hot sauce in, just to lift it up and give it a little bit of a kick. I'm a huge hot sauce fan, as you know by now. Give that a stir. We're going to take our tongs, and we are going to put the turkey back in. Now, once the turkey is in and this comes to a boil, I have a preheated 350 oven. This is an oven-proof pan. This one just happens to be blue, but it is a cast iron pan. And we're gonna put this in the oven. Now look at that cheese melting already. And we're going to let that come to a boil in the oven, let it keep simmering in the oven. And because this dish has so much liquid in it, it can sit in there for a while, so you can prepare this ahead. So as soon as this comes to boil, I'm gonna put this in the oven, and we will come back when we are ready to remove it and plate it. All right, the turkey saltimbocca is done now. As you can see, look at that, it's just beautiful coming out of the oven. Be very careful because it's very heavy, and I serve it right in this pot. And because I serve it right in that pot, before I put it on the table, I put that on the handle so no one reaches for it. And there you have it. Enjoy this, it's wonderful. Like I said, any leftovers freeze beautifully, and mangia con buon gusto.